Best of r/Tales from Retail episode 96. Subscribe for edit videos daily. So, I read this post here, and it reminded me of something that cracked me up from when I first started working at my store. For context, I work third shift in a southern state that water bugs, which look like mutant, hulked out cockroaches. For those unfamiliar with the species, this particular customer, late 50s to early 60s, came in wearing early Disney princess, lots of pink, ruffles, sparkles, and insanely thick makeup to give herself a heart-shaped mouth. Well, one night as she was making her way to the register, I was working the store alone. I was fixing the welcome mat in front of the door. As the mat slides, a large water bug skitters out from under it, and, having lived in this area my whole life, I did a sensible thing. I lunged forward and stepped on the thing, killing it instantly. Then, since I had the bucket, dustpan and broom with me anyway, calmly swept the mess into the dustpan. She stared at me in abject horror. "You can't do that," she said. I looked at her in confusion. "Do what?" I asked. "Kill a bug. You're a girl. Girls can't kill bugs." "Well," I said, "clearly I can. I mean, I just did." She opened her mouth to say something, and it was like a light dawned behind her eyes. "That's right," she said. "You did. I think I made someone's life very interesting, just by being myself. Thank you." Next. I have worked for my craft store company for a few years, and have managed to work my way up to assistant manager. This story is from several years ago when I was just a lowly cashier, and makes me laugh every time I tell it. It was about an hour before closing time, and we were very quiet. I was the only cashier scheduled, and was stationed at the register furthest from the queuing area. As I was with a customer, a woman in her mid-40s was next in line. When it was her turn at the register, she stomps up and slams her items on the counter hard enough that most of them bounced off. After I scramble to pick her things up and get them scanned in, she looks at the price that they're ringing up, and this is where it really gets started. "Customer, that hole punch is supposed to be 50% off." Me, "I'm sorry, but this particular brand is excluded from the sale. I can run back and grab one of the ones that are on sale for you if you'd like." She grunts her approval. I go and get her the hole punch, and tell her new total. This is when she discovers that she's slightly short, about 75 cents, but she doesn't want to take anything off. Me, "We aren't busy and there's no one behind you. If you have any money in your car or something, I can hold the transaction open for you. I don't mind." So she goes to get some change. When she comes in, this time once again she slams it on the counter hard enough it bounces. I was prepared this time though and managed to catch it. As I'm entering her amount paid is when she starts. "Customer, you're really rude. I hope you know that." Me, taken aback because I thought I had been perfectly friendly. "I'm sorry you feel that way, ma'am." Customer, "I saw you with your hands all over your mouth when you called me up. For the record, number. At most I maybe scratched the side of my nose, as that's a tick I have. I hope your manager knows what a rude girl she hired." To that one I just silently handed her her receipt and her bag, as there was nowhere productive this was going to go. And as she left and walked towards the door, she turned around and said my favorite thing a customer has ever said to me. "Customer, you ugly, too. TL. Doctor, I'm a rude girl, and I'm ugly too. Thank you." Next. I have been lurker for a very long time, but this is my first post. Sorry for any mistakes, but at the end of the day I don't care. A little information to start. I am female and at the time about 20 years old. I am a huge smart aleck that for the most part doesn't care what others think of me. Anyway, onto the story. I used to work at the retail store that loves blue. For the most part I worked in frozen and dairy, which I loved because I am the type of person that can be in about 35 in shorts and a t-shirt all day long, but occasionally they would have me work as a cashier. One day I was cashiering for a couple of hours and was finally able to go on break and back to my department. How our store was set up was that there was 5 large aisles that run from the front of the store all the way to the back, with the middle one cutting the clothing department in half. The men's section on one side and the women's on the other. Right in the middle of was the changing rooms. One day as I was walking down the center aisle on my way to break, just as I was passing the changing rooms, which was very busy, when a gentleman, now known as G, stopped me to ask a question. For context, this happened in an area that is very conserved and still has a lot of farmers, and one of the biggest things we are known for is our rodeos. This G who stopped me looked to be in his 40s and was a full-on cowboy. Wrangler jeans, cowboy hat and boots, handlebar mustache, the works. This conversation's happened about 6 years ago, so it's not verbatim. G, hey, do you have this in my size? I look down and see in his hands he is holding a neon green thong. Without missing a beat I said, me, you know, so I'm not sure if we do or not. I usually work in frozen/dairy, sorry. G, well, do you know if they have different types or different colors? Me, I'm not sure. I have to admit I think that one with more frills would probably be more your style. G, I was thinking a pink or a red would look better. Me, I wouldn't recommend pink or red, but that's just me. I like the greens and blues. We went on for about 5 minutes just talking about what style/color would look best on the G. Finally he said, G, thank you for your help. Me, no problem, and if you want to know where they have your size, I would recommend talking to the ladies at the changing room, because they know the clothing section a lot better. We said goodbye and parted ways. I laughed so hard when I got to the break room. The entire time he and I were talking there was a teenage girl standing behind him. I assume she was his daughter or something. She was just watching and listening but wasn't shocked or horrified. This made me think that this was something she had to do for a class. When I was in high school I took psychology, and one of our homework assignments was to break a social norm, i.e., pick your nose in public. I always assumed this was what it was for because we were the closest blue supermarket to that high school at the time. I know it's not super exciting, but it still makes my day whenever I think about it. Thank you. Next. So this story will be a little different than most, as it doesn't revolve around a customer, but around hired employees within the company I work in. Without disclosing too much information, I work at a store franchise as a cashier, among other small jobs around the store. I open the store relatively often, or at least work early in the morning. We also hire a cleaning company to clean the store with their industrial equipment, and they are also employed by a few other large franchises to clean. To avoid doing it in front of customers, they come in the middle of the night, and have their own key and alarm code to enter. To kind of stage this story, I should talk about a smaller incident that happened a day before the main incident happened. A co-worker and I were talking about how all the jewelry in our display had sold, about $3K worth, and we were wondering who had bought that much jewelry. Turns out, our store cleaners were caught on camera stealing the jewelry in the middle of the night. At least $3,000 worth. On top of that, we realized they have been stealing for years. So now there are years worth of camera footage to look through, to calculate how much they actually ended up stealing, as my company is suing them. I'm assuming if it adds up to more than $5K worth of product, they will also be going to jail for theft over $5K. Also, of course our company informed their other employers, so it is more than likely they have lost all their contracts, and who knows if they were stealing from them as well. Personally, I don't think that amount of jewelry is worth your entire career and income, but what is done, and now they have to face the consequences of their actions. It's unfortunate because I have met and spoke to them on multiple occasions, so I know them quite well. I never imagined they were capable of doing something like that. Thank you. Next. I sell drugs. For some of these drugs you must provide no proof of age, no tobacco or alcohol. Today I had two ladies come in, one older and one probably mid-20s. Perhaps mother-daughter, but there is no way for me to know. The younger one picks out some whiskey and brings it up to the counter. The older lady gets out her card. Me, will this be it? And can I see y'all's IDs? I just needed the younger ladies, but I didn't want the older lady to feel left out. Oh well, hands me her ID. YL, pointedly looks away. Me, and yours as well ma'am. YL, I'm not getting anything. Me, how you a go gain? PNG, oh well, I'm getting this. Me, she picked it out. I need to see her ID. YL, I don't have it. Me, no passport, military ID, anything? YL, no. Oh well, I'm just getting this, I don't understand. Me, she picked it up and brought it to the counter. I need her ID because it's for her. Oh well, can I pick out something? Me, I need it or I can't sell to you. Oh well, so you're gonna miss out on this $40 sale or me. It's not worth going to jail over. Have a good night. As an aside, 40 of someone else's dollars, not mine. Later you make a 10k order and he'll think about risking jail time. Maybe that'll make my boss want to bail me out. Maybe, but still not likely. Oh well, can I walk out and pick something? Me. No. Good night. If you walk into a liquor store with no ID, what are you even doing? Edit. Just saw the other dude's post with the exact same scenario. It happens every day. I don't get it. Thank you. Next. I worked at a home improvement store in my late teens and early 20s. I was an OFA, order fulfillment associate, or a lackey for any other department. I was in charge of getting orders ready to go, which included deliveries, special ordered items, online orders, and order put through the service desk and desk for professionals. I have a lot of stories about retail, but for this one, don't order things online to pick up. We have a lot of orders we have to pick up and stage for all the listed prior, so we cannot always bring an order we get right away to the front or wherever it is needed. Sometimes we have to go through the giant store to find a small box. One day I was working on deliveries when I got a call from the service desk to pick up an order. I got it as fast as I could and took it to the service desk. The guy said thanks in a nasty attitude before my co-worker released his products for him to take. Once he was gone, I turned to my co-worker and asked what was up. He ordered it in the parking lot, walked in, then asked for it. Remember, with the age of order stuff online, give some time, maybe call ahead if it's a large order. IT will not be ready instantly. Thank you. Next. It was back in December of last year, and I was working over winter break as I always do. Christmas had just passed, and it was the slow stretch between then and New Year's. Nothing exciting was really happening, so we had loads of time to do extra tasks we almost never had time for otherwise between the daily rushes. It was during one of these rushes that this occurred, and I only know the parts I didn't witness directly from video recordings and others who were directly involved. I was checking for a customer when I hear this altercation near the customer service desk. Not anything super unusual, as we do get some customers around holiday seasons who are verbally aggressive with those working the desk. When I looked over, I saw a lady with a duffel bag and cart full of detergent bottles arguing with one of the grocery managers about something. I wasn't sure what about at the time since I had to focus on my own task, so I ignored it for the time being. About 15 minutes later, the lady seemed to have abandoned all her items, and I managed to spot some cops looking around in the store. I began to suspect the lady had either assaulted someone or attempted theft and left. I ended up being right on both of those assumptions, but, as the rush was ending, a visibly amused man came into my lane. I greet him, and our interaction was as follows. Him, laughing, did you see the dumb bus up front earlier? Me, oh, the one arguing with grocery manager? Him, yay, she tried to steal a bunch of detergent. I have a video, too, I can show you. Me, initially didn't want to indulge too much, but my line was non-existent and his order was large enough for me to multitask without looking like I'm wasting time. Okay, sure. Him, shows me a couple videos on his phone of the event, one during the argument and the other a while after. The lady had apparently come back into the store to try and steal at least one of the bottles, but, grocery manager, was already carting them away. She tried to wrestle him for the cart, snagged a detergent bottle, and only made it 5 feet before grocery manager took the bottle back. The whole time, this guy's laughing his ass off about the whole thing. Me, immediately thought, wow, that's a special kind of stupid to come back while the cops were still here. I had finished his transaction by then. She really came back in. Him, while paying, yay, she thought she could sneak around the cops. After he paid, we said goodbye and the rush was basically over, so I could resume taking care of small tasks between the occasional customer. It wasn't too long before one of my co-workers who'd been closer to the whole thing asked me if I'd seen it. I explained that I'd watched a video from a customer, and then my co-worker explained the parts I'd missed. She had tried to steal exactly 45 bottles of detergent in her basket and a duffel bag at self-checkout by only scanning a random item, thinking that the supervisor wasn't paying attention. Grocery manager was called almost immediately, and the supervisor froze the stand to stall while he made his way over. The lady began to argue with the supervisor and tried to get around to the front door, but the supervisor kept blocking her. Once, grocery manager had arrived, the arguing got more intense and brought closer to the customer service desk where I'd initially picked up on it. The cops had been called at some point, and the lady bailed without anything into the parking lot to hide from the cops. When she thought everything was clear, she came back in to try and steal the same detergent by assaulting grocery manager, but he had stopped her. Not sure if she was arrested or not, but she promptly ran out of the store with a couple cops on her tail. I highly suspect she was gonna try and sell the detergent online, since most of them were name brand and large.